The night was quiet. Too quiet for a mining outpost that usually shook with engines, tools, and angry voices. But tonight, the entire station felt frozen, like it was holding its breath. And that was the first thing Marcus Hale noticed. He stepped out of the cargo lift, wiping engine grease from his hands, trying to ignore the strange feeling crawling up his neck. The hallway lights flickered. The vents hummed in a slow, shaky rhythm. Even the security drones drifted slowly, as if half asleep. Marcus didn't like silence. Silence meant trouble. He started walking toward the docking bay, telling himself it was nothing. Maybe a power issue. Maybe a drill failure. Maybe the usual chaos on Station 12. But the fear inside his chest kept growing, step by step, like something was waiting for him in the shadows. Then he heard it. A small voice. Soft. Shaking. Almost broken. "Mister, please. I need help." Marcus stopped. The hallway was empty. Every door was sealed. Every corridor was silent. But the voice had been real. He was sure of it. He turned slowly. And there she stood. A little girl. No older than 8. Thin. Cold. Wearing a torn gray cloak that dragged on the floor. Her hands trembled as she held the cloth against her chest. Her hair was white. Not pale blonde. Not silver. White, like starlight trapped in strands. And her eyes glowed faint blue, like 2 tiny moons. An alien child. Marcus had seen many species during his travels, but never anything like her. She took one small step closer. Her voice cracked as she repeated the words. "Mister, please. I just need a dad for one day." Marcus blinked. He thought he misheard. A dad? Why would an alien child need a human man she had never met? He crouched to her level, trying to sound calm. "What's your name, kid?" She swallowed hard. "Lyra. Where are your parents?" The girl's lips quivered. Her glowing eyes shimmered with fear. I don't have any. Not anymore." Marcus felt something twist inside his chest. But before he could ask anything else, a deep mechanical boom echoed through the metal floors. The lights flickered again. The entire hallway shook. Lyra gasped and clung to his sleeve. "They found me." "Who?" Marcus whispered. She looked over her shoulder, terrified. "The collectors." Marcus stiffened. Everyone in this part of the galaxy had heard rumors. The collectors didn't take prisoners. They didn't negotiate. They hunted rare species, especially children with special abilities, and sold them to the highest bidder. And if they were coming for her, Marcus stood instantly. "Come with me." He didn't know who she was. He didn't know why she came to him. He didn't know why she needed a dad for a day. But he knew one thing. He wasn't letting a scared kid face monsters alone. He grabbed her hand and started running. Down the hallway, past the cargo crates, toward the old maintenance tunnels that the collectors never searched. Behind them, the floor vibrated again. Heavy footsteps, distant metallic clicks, electronic growls. They were coming. Closer and closer. Lyra looked back and whispered, "I'm sorry, they won't stop. Not until they take me." Marcus tightened his grip. "Well, they'll have to go through me first." For the first time since he met her, a tiny smile touched her lips. As if she somehow believed him. As if she saw something in him he didn't see in himself. They reached the tunnel hatch. Marcus slammed the override panel. It sparked. It refused. It jammed. The collector's shadows appeared at the far end of the corridor. Marcus exhaled sharply. "Kid, get behind me." And as the metal giants stepped into view, their red eyes glowing, Lyra whispered one last sentence that changed everything. "Mister, you're the only human they fear." The hatch finally slid open with a painful metallic groan, and Marcus shoved Lyra inside first. He followed her and yanked the lever down. The door sealed shut with a rough clang. Darkness swallowed them. Only the faint blue glow from Lyra's eyes lit the narrow maintenance tunnel. Marcus leaned against the cold metal wall, breathing hard. "They're getting faster," he whispered. Lyra nodded, hugging herself tightly. "They always do." Her voice carried a quiet sadness. A tiredness far too heavy for a child. Marcus knelt in front of her, placing one hand on her shoulder. "Kid, you need to tell me the truth now. Why are they hunting you? What do they want?" She hesitated. Her glowing eyes flickered, dimming for a moment. Then she looked up. "They want the spark inside me." Marcus frowned. "What spark?" She touched the base of her throat. A faint shimmer pulsed under her skin, like a tiny heartbeat made of starlight. "My people call it the alien seed. Only a few are born with it. It can heal, protect, or destroy." Marcus stared. "Destroy?" Lyra lowered her head. That's why they want me. To use me like a weapon. For the first time, Marcus saw it. The fear she hid, the loneliness she carried. She wasn't just running from danger. She was running from herself. The sound of metal claws scraping against the sealed hatch made them both jump. The collectors had found the door. A low, mechanical growl echoed through the tunnel. They were scanning, searching, tracking Lyra's energy. Marcus grabbed her hand again. We need to move. Now. He guided her deeper into the tunnels, careful not to make noise. Pipes hissed overhead. The floor vibrated with distant machinery. Dust rained down from above. The air smelled old, metallic, forgotten. These tunnels had been abandoned for years. No cameras, no sensors, no patrols, but also no working lights, no clean air, no stable floors. Lyra whispered, "Mister, are you sure?" "No," Marcus said honestly. "But it's the only path they won't expect." A faint tremor passed through the walls. The collectors were breaking through the hatch. They had minutes, maybe less. As they hurried down a narrow slope, Marcus noticed Lyra limping slightly. "Hey, you hurt?" She shook her head quickly. "No, I'm okay." But she wasn't. Marcus stopped, crouched, and gently lifted her cloak. A burn mark. Deep. Fresh. Right across her side. "Lyra, when did you get this?" "When I escaped," she whispered. "One of them fired a shock beam. It burns my kind more than humans." Marcus clenched his jaw. These things weren't hunters. They were butchers. "Why didn't you tell me?" "Because," Lyra's voice cracked. "Because humans always run away when they see what I am. They don't want to get involved." Marcus shook his head. "Well, I'm not running." He tore a strip from his sleeve and wrapped the wound gently. She winced, but didn't complain. Her glowing eyes softened. "Nobody ever helped me like this," she whispered. "Why are you being kind to me?" Marcus took a slow breath. "Because someone has to be." Before Lyra could answer, a loud crack echoed through the tunnel, the sound of metal tearing open. The collectors had broken the hatch. Their heavy footsteps pounded against the floor above, shaking dust loose. They weren't guessing anymore. They were coming straight toward them. Marcus picked Lyra up in his arms. "Hold on to me." She wrapped her arms around his neck as he ran deeper into the tunnel. Pipes rattled. Warning lights flashed. The temperature dropped. A deep rumble echoed ahead. Lyra tightened her grip. "What's that sound?" Marcus knew. "The power core," he said. "We're right above it." Lyra's eyes widened with fear. "If we fall." "We won't," Marcus said. He hoped he was right. They turned a corner and stopped. A massive gap split the tunnel in half. A broken bridge hung by one remaining beam, swinging in the cold air over a deep, glowing abyss. The roaring power core pulsed far below. Footsteps thundered behind them. The collectors were close. Lyra whispered, terrified. "Mister, what do we do?" Marcus looked at the broken bridge, then at the child in his arms, then at the shadows growing behind them. He tightened his grip. "We jump." Lyra's breath froze. But she didn't argue. Marcus stepped to the edge of the broken bridge, holding Lyra tightly. The power core roared below like a giant mechanical heart. Blue light pulsed upward in waves, lighting the tunnel with an eerie glow. Hot air rushed up, stinging his face. Behind them, the collector's footsteps grew louder. Closer. Heavier. Metal claws scraped the ground. A deep electronic hiss echoed. They had entered the tunnel. Lyra buried her face in Marcus's shoulder. "Mister, if we fall, the core will vaporize us." Marcus stared at the swinging bridge. It hung by a single rusted beam. One wrong step, and they were gone. He swallowed hard. "We're not falling," he said. "I won't let that happen." She lifted her head, her glowing eyes trembling. "But you're human. Humans can't survive these jumps." Marcus smirked softly. "Good thing I'm not an ordinary human." He took 3 steps back. The collector's shadows stretched across the tunnel wall. Lyra clutched his shirt. "Marcus, I'm scared." "I know," he whispered. "But trust me." He ran. The ground trembled as he sprinted. Dust rose under his boots. The broken bridge swung wildly in the rushing heat. The gap looked wider with every step. Marcus pushed harder. Faster. Stronger. The first collector lunged forward behind them, metal claws slashing the air. Marcus jumped. For a second, they were weightless, floating over the glowing abyss, suspended in a sea of blue light. Lyra gasped and closed her eyes. Marcus felt gravity pull them down, hard. He reached for the dangling beam, missed, grabbed a hanging cable with his free hand. It snapped. They fell a few meters and slammed into the half-collapsed bridge with a painful thud. Marcus groaned loudly. His back screamed. His arm throbbed. But he didn't let go of Lyra. Not even for a second. Lyra lifted her head slowly. Her voice shook. You held on to me, even when we fell. Of course I did, Marcus said, wincing. I'm not dropping you. The bridge swung violently under their weight. Sparks burst from broken wires. Metal chunks fell into the glowing core below. Marcus pulled himself up, holding the bridge rail with one hand and Lyra with the other. The collectors reached the edge of the gap. They stared down at Marcus and Lyra with cold red eyes. Their voices merged in a distorted mechanical blend. Return. The child is property. Lyra shook in fear. Mister, they won't stop. Marcus forced himself to stand despite the pain. Well, he said, neither will I. He lifted Lyra to her feet. The opposite side of the tunnel was only a few steps away now. Safety was close. Very close. But the collectors had a new plan. One of them extended a long metallic arm. The fingers twisted and reshaped into a razor-sharp whip. It cracked through the air and wrapped around the remains of the bridge. In one violent pull, they dragged the bridge back toward them. Marcus and Lyra slid toward the edge. Lyra screamed. Marcus! He dropped to one knee, gripping a bolt sticking out of the metal floor. His other hand wrapped around Lyra's wrist. The bridge groaned. The metal beam snapped inch by inch. Marcus gritted his teeth as the force pulled harder. His arm burned. His bones screamed. Mister, let me go. Lyra cried. If you hold on, you'll fall with me. Marcus looked directly into her glowing eyes. Kid, he growled. You're not dying today. Not while I'm still breathing. The last bolt holding the bridge shrieked. Marcus made a choice. He pulled Lyra into his arms, lifted her, and with every ounce of strength left, he threw her toward the other side. She flew across the gap and landed safely on the tunnel floor. She rolled, coughed, and scrambled upright. Marcus, she cried. The bridge snapped completely. Marcus fell. Down. Into the glowing blue pit. Lyra reached out desperately. Marcus! But before he vanished into the core's blinding light, he slammed his hand onto a maintenance panel sticking from the wall, triggering a magnetic clamp. Metal struck his arm. Fire shot through his shoulder. But he stopped falling. Barely. He hung above the deadly core by one burning arm. Lyra crawled to the edge, tears streaming. I thought you died. I thought you. He grinned weakly. Not today, kid. The collectors stepped back, recalculating. Marcus looked up. His voice was cold steel. Lyra, you need to run. She shook her head violently. No, I'm not leaving you. Marcus's grip began to slip. Kid, you have something inside you worth more than my life. Get to the safe tunnels. Hide. But Lyra didn't move. Her eyes glowed brighter, brighter than he had ever seen. Mister, I won't run again. Not anymore. And for the first time, the power inside her awakened. The tunnel shook as Lyra stepped closer to the edge where Marcus hung. The glow in her eyes brightened until it lit the entire broken bridge in soft blue light. It wasn't normal light. It pulsed. It breathed. It felt alive. Marcus stared up at her, his arm trembling under the weight of his own body. Lyra, what are you doing? She didn't answer. She closed her eyes, took a slow breath, and placed her trembling hands on the metal floor. Blue energy rippled from her palms like gentle waves. The air warmed. The broken cables flickered. Dust lifted off the ground and drifted upward as if carried by invisible wind. Marcus felt the metal beam under him become slightly lighter, as though Lyra was somehow holding him up, not with strength, but with will. Behind her, the collectors stiffened. Their crimson eyes flashed in warning patterns. One of them stepped forward and hissed. The child is activating. Intercept immediately. Its mechanical arm reshaped into a jagged spear. Lyra opened her eyes. Her glowing blue gaze locked onto the machine. Stay away from him. Her voice wasn't loud. It wasn't angry. It wasn't even emotional. It was calm. Too calm. The collectors charged. Lyra raised her hands. A thin ring of blue light exploded outward from her palms. It expanded like a shockwave, sweeping across the tunnel. The air rippled. The walls trembled. Loose bolts vibrated like insects. The first collector struck the energy ring and froze mid-charge. Its limbs twitched. Its red eyes blinked erratically. Then it collapsed. Hard. Smoke curled from its joints. Marcus's jaw dropped. Kid, what did you just? But Lyra was already turning toward the second collector. This one hesitated. It scanned her rapidly, collecting data, trying to analyze this sudden threat. Unidentified power signature. Containment required. It fired a grappling hook from its arm. The hook shot toward Lyra like lightning. Marcus screamed, "Lyra, move!" But she didn't. Instead, she gently raised her hand. The hook stopped in midair, frozen, suspended like time itself had obeyed her. Lyra closed her hand. The hook crumpled into dust. Marcus stared in shock. This child, this small, trembling, lonely girl, held more power than an entire squad of machines designed for hunting, killing, and capturing rare beings. The collector tried to retreat, but Lyra stepped forward. "No more running," she whispered. She lifted her palm. Blue energy wrapped around the machine like threads of light. Not harsh, not violent, almost gentle. She twisted her hand slightly. The collector shut down instantly, collapsing into a silent heap of metal. The tunnel fell quiet. Only the hum of the power core remained. Lyra stumbled. Her glowing eyes dimmed. She dropped to her knees. "Lyra," Marcus shouted. His fingers slipped on the magnetic clamp. His arm nearly gave out from exhaustion. Pain radiated through every muscle. But Lyra crawled toward the edge, still shaking. She reached Marcus and extended her small hand. "Mister, take my hand." Marcus almost laughed at the absurdity. She was tiny. He weighed almost 10 times more than her. She was injured, exhausted, barely holding herself together. "Kid, you can't pull me up," he whispered. She met his eyes. Her voice was soft but firm. "You didn't let go of me, so I won't let go of you." Marcus swallowed hard. He reached up. Their hands touched. A warm pulse of energy flowed from her skin into his. His arm stopped shaking. The pain dulled. His grip strengthened. She pulled. Not physically, with energy. The magnetic clamp released. Marcus didn't fall. He lifted upward, weightless, carried by a gentle force. Lyra's eyes flared bright again. She gritted her teeth. Sweat ran down her forehead. Marcus rose inch by inch until his hand grabbed the tunnel edge. He climbed up and collapsed beside her, gasping. Lyra fell against his chest, breathing unevenly. "I didn't know if it would work," she whispered. Marcus wrapped his arms around her tightly. "It worked, kid. You saved both of us." She smiled weakly, then fainted. Marcus checked her pulse. Still strong, still alive. But she was burning with energy she couldn't control. And the worst part? As he lifted her into his arms, a distant echo rolled through the tunnels. More footsteps. Heavier. Hundreds of them. The collectors weren't giving up. They were sending an army. Marcus looked down at Lyra's unconscious face. "Kid, you're powerful," he whispered. "But right now, you need someone to protect you." He stood, holding her close, eyes burning with a new fire. "And I will." Marcus ran through the dim maintenance tunnel with Lyra in his arms. Her small body felt weightless, but not in a good way. She was unconscious, burning with unstable energy. Soft blue sparks flickered across her skin. Every spark scared him. It meant she was losing control. The tunnel around them echoed with distant mechanical roars. Metal clanks. Multiple engines powering up. The collectors were coming. Not 2. Not 10. Hundreds. Their voices overlapped in metallic unison. "Locate the alien child. Her power is critical. The human is expendable." Marcus tightened his hold on Lyra. "Yeah," he muttered. "Let's see you try." He reached a large metal door with a faded sign. "Maintenance Sector 0, restricted." He hit the panel. Sparks flew. Nothing happened. He slammed his fist into it. Still nothing. He set Lyra down gently and pulled off a panel cover. Wires dangled like dead vines. Old. Burned. Barely functioning. "Come on. Come on," he whispered as he rewired the panel. The tunnel behind him trembled. Boom. Another boom. The sound of heavy machines smashing through walls. Lyra groaned softly on the floor, whispering in her sleep. Don't take me, please." Marcus froze for a second. Hearing her plead, even unconscious, ignited something in him. A fire he hadn't felt in years. He touched her cheek. "No one is taking you, kid. Not while I'm alive." He connected 2 wires. The door screeched open halfway, then jammed. Marcus growled. "Screw it." He forced his shoulder under the door and pushed. Muscles burned. Bones cracked. The metal dug into his skin. But inch by inch, the door lifted. "Kid," he gasped, "crawl under." Lyra was still barely conscious, but she pushed herself forward. She slid under the door. Marcus followed, rolling inside just before the door slammed shut behind him. He collapsed on the floor beside her, panting. Okay, that buys us a few minutes. He sat up and looked around. Sector 0 was enormous. A forgotten part of the station. Dusty machines towered like dead giants. Old cables dangled from the ceiling. Panels flickered weakly. The air smelled like rust and old storms. But it was safe. For now. Marcus carried Lyra toward a wall and set her down gently. Her breathing was uneven. Blue light pulsed under her skin. Her hands twitched. Her voice was barely a whisper. "Mister, it hurts." Marcus knelt beside her, brushing her hair gently. "What hurts?" "The spark," she breathed weakly. "It's waking up too fast. I can't control it." Marcus felt his stomach twist. He'd seen soldiers lose control of weapons. But this was a child losing control of herself. "Stay with me," he said. "Just breathe. You're safe." She shook her head faintly. "No, I'm not. They marked me. They can track me anywhere." Marcus clenched his fists. "Lyra, look at me." Her eyes opened slightly. Their glow was dim, but still beautiful. "You're not alone," he said. "And you're not property. Not theirs. Not anyone's." She blinked slowly. Tears slipped down her cheeks. Marcus wiped them gently. "Kid, I've been alone most of my life too," he whispered. "But I'm here now. I'm not leaving." A soft smile touched her lips. Tiny, fragile, but real. Marcus looked around desperately for supplies. Nothing. Only dead machines. Broken batteries. Rust everywhere. But then, he saw it. A large metal capsule in the corner. Half buried under dust. A medical pod. Old. Ancient. But maybe still working. Marcus ran to it. He brushed off the dust and opened the panel. The screen flickered weakly. Power, 8%. Status, critical. Functionality, limited. Marcus muttered, "Limited is better than nothing." He opened the pod. The inside glowed faint green. He lifted Lyra and laid her inside gently. Her small hands reached up and grabbed his sleeve weakly. "Mister, don't leave." Marcus placed his hand on hers. "I'm not going anywhere. I'll be right here." Her eyes slowly closed. But before she drifted off, she whispered, You're the dad I wished for." Marcus froze. Her hand slipped from his. The pod sealed shut with a soft hiss. Blue mist filled the chamber. Her body relaxed. The pod kept her alive. But it couldn't hide her from the machines. The tunnel outside rumbled. The collectors had reached Sector 0. Marcus rose slowly. His eyes cold. His jaw tight. His fists clenched. An army was coming. And he stood between them and one sleeping child. He stepped forward. "Come on then," he growled. "You want her? You'll have to go through a very angry human first." Behind him, Lyra slept inside the pod, unaware that Marcus was about to make the most dangerous stand of his life. The ground trembled before the machines arrived. Dust fell from the ceiling in thin streams. Loose metal rattled against the walls. Sector 0 felt like a sleeping beast waking up after centuries. Marcus stood in the center of the room, fists tight, eyes locked on the only entrance. Behind him, Lyra slept inside the pod. Her breathing was soft. Her blue glow was dim, but steady. He whispered to her, even though she couldn't hear him. "Stay sleeping, kid. Let me handle this." The door at the far end buckled inward. Boom. A huge dent appeared. Sparks shot out like fireworks. Boom. Another dent. The metal twisted under the force of something massive. Marcus raised a metal pipe he found earlier. It wasn't a weapon. Not really. But it was something. He tightened his grip until his knuckles turned white. The door exploded inward. A storm of red lights poured in. Hundreds of mechanical eyes blinking in perfect rhythm. Heavy footsteps marched in like an army of iron soldiers. The collectors entered the room one by one. Huge. Cold. Emotionless. The first one scanned Marcus and spoke in its distorted metallic voice. "Return the alien child. You will be terminated if you resist." Marcus smirked. "Yeah, not happening." The machine extended an arm that shifted into a blade. Marcus didn't wait. He charged. He swung the metal pipe with everything he had. It slammed into the collector's head with a sharp crack. Sparks burst out. The collector stumbled. Marcus swung again. And again. And again. The third strike broke the pipe in half, but the machine fell hard, crashing into a wall. The rest of the army advanced instantly. Marcus ran to the nearest machine, grabbed a dangling cable, and ripped it out. Electric sparks exploded. He jammed the cable into the machine's neck joint. It convulsed violently before collapsing. But there were too many. 10 stepped forward. Then 20. Then more. Marcus fought like a wild animal. Punches. Kicks. Using broken metal pieces as makeshift weapons. Slamming metal plates into glowing eyes. Throwing himself under massive arms and rolling away just in time. He wasn't trained for this. He wasn't built for this. But he refused to fall. Because behind him, a child slept. A child who called him dad. And that was enough to turn any man into a storm. A collector grabbed Marcus by the shirt and threw him across the room. He hit the ground hard. Pain shot through his ribs. His vision blurred. But he got up. Another machine swung its blade arm. Marcus dodged, grabbed a loose steel beam, and drove it into the machine's chest. The machine flickered, sputtered, then dropped. But the next wave stepped in. Bigger. Heavier. More advanced. One pointed at him. The human is damaged. Remove him. Another step closer. Do not destroy the body. It may contain data. Marcus spat blood on the ground. Come get me, you metal trash cans. They did. The machines attacked in perfect coordination. Marcus fought like a cornered wolf, but he couldn't keep up. One fist hit his stomach. He fell to his knees. Another slammed his back. He coughed blood. A third grabbed his throat and lifted him off the ground. Its cold red eyes stared into his as it spoke. You are obstructing acquisition of the alien child. State your purpose. Marcus choked, barely able to breathe, but still managed to grin. My purpose is keeping you away from her. The machine tightened its grip. Marcus felt his vision dim. His body sagged. His strength faded. The collector's arm buzzed with killing power. Then, the room changed. Every machine froze. All red eyes flickered. All metal bodies locked. Marcus dropped to the floor, gasping for air. A soft hum filled the air. Then a voice. Small, gentle, tired, but powerful. Mister, don't die. Marcus turned. Lyra was standing outside the pod. Awake, glowing, and crying softly. The machines twitched. Trying to move, trying to attack, trying to stand. But they couldn't. Because the air around Lyra rippled with blue energy. She walked toward Marcus slowly, her bare feet touching the dusty floor. I felt you in pain, she whispered. I heard you calling for me, even when you didn't say the words. Marcus forced himself to stand. Barely. Lyra, you need to run. They want you, not me. She shook her head, tears falling harder. No more running. Not without you. The machines began to break free from her paralysis. Their joints strained. Heads turned. Blades unfolded. Lyra stepped in front of Marcus. Her tiny hands rose, and the temperature in the room dropped instantly. A crack of blue lightning curled around her fingers. Marcus's eyes widened. Kid, what are you doing? She glanced back at him, glowing eyes filled with both terror and courage. What you did for me, she whispered. I'm protecting my dad. The room exploded with blue light. Blue light rushed outward like a silent explosion. It wasn't fire. It wasn't electricity. It wasn't anything human engineering had ever seen. It was alive. A wave of glowing energy swept across Sector 0. Dust lifted into the air like weightless snow. Metal pipes vibrated. Loose bolts floated upward. The entire room tilted, as if gravity itself was confused. Marcus shielded his eyes. Lyra, but she didn't hear him. She wasn't in the room anymore. She was somewhere else. Somewhere deep inside the spark. Her small frame stood in the center of the storm. Her hair floated around her like strands of silver flame. Her feet lifted off the ground. Her eyes blazed with pure blue light. The collectors tried to move. They tried to stand. They tried to reach her. But the moment they stepped closer, their metal bodies cracked. Blue fissures spread across their armor like lightning frozen in time. One machine spoke with a broken, glitching voice. Power level. Unsustainable. Abort. Abort. It collapsed before it finished. Another machine ignited from inside, overheating until its chest melted open. In seconds, an entire army fell. Some crushed under collapsing metal. Some froze mid-motion, limbs locked forever. Some shattered like fragile glass. Marcus had seen weapons. He had seen bombs, cannons, shock systems. Nothing in his life had ever done this. Nothing human ever could. The storm dimmed. Lyra floated downward slowly, the blue glow fading around her. Her small feet touched the floor. Her eyes flickered. Then she collapsed. Marcus caught her before she hit the ground. She was burning hot, shaking, barely conscious. Lyra. Hey, look at me. Her eyelids fluttered. She smiled weakly. Mister, are you okay? He almost laughed. She was the one fading, and she was worried about him. He held her close. You saved my life, he whispered. Again. I didn't want you to die, she whispered back. Her voice was thin, fragile, breaking. I didn't want to be alone again. Marcus's heart twisted. You're not alone, he said firmly. Her little hand weakly grabbed his sleeve. Will you stay? Even if I cause trouble? Even if bad people come again? Marcus didn't hesitate. I'll stay, he said. As long as you want me to. Her eyes shimmered. Like a dad. Marcus took a slow breath. Yeah, he whispered. Like a dad. She smiled, a soft, peaceful smile. Then she fainted completely. Marcus lifted her into his arms. Her breathing was shallow but steady. The glow under her skin dimmed to a soft pulse. He carried her through the silent battlefield of broken machines. Metal bodies lay everywhere, smoking and shattered. The once terrifying army was nothing but scrap. He walked through them like a man walking away from war. When he reached the tunnel exit, he looked back. Sector 0 was ruined. Quiet. Dead. But in his arms was the only thing that mattered. He stepped out into a wider corridor lit by emergency lights. Cold air brushed his face. Lyra stirred slightly. Mister, where are we going now? She whispered in her sleep. Marcus adjusted his grip and kept walking. Away from here, he said softly. To somewhere safe. He didn't know where that was. He didn't know who else was hunting her. He didn't know why he had become the center of a cosmic mess. But he knew one thing with absolute certainty. He wasn't giving her up. A faint rumble echoed behind them. Marcus stopped. Listened. Voices. Distant. Artificial. New machines. The collectors weren't done. Marcus tightened his hold on Lyra. Let them come, he whispered. His eyes hardened. You're not taking her. Not now. Not ever. He walked into the darkness of the corridor. A human man carrying a cosmic child. And the shadows swallowed them both. Their story wasn't ending. It was only beginning.